friends, how are you? I am Shawn with Manly Made Minute, and welcome to another episode for my peddlersden.com design team series. And this one is a continuation of the last one that we did. I started out with one element for you in scene building. We did two elements. Now I'm going to do a very simple three-element card for you. Purpose of this, I want you to start grasping the concept of the layering of these scene building and where to start. So we're going to start in the forefront on this one and work our way back, and then overlay two different things before we lay that last thing. So I just want you to visually and spatially understand how this scene building works, because I think those of you that like to watercolor, those of you like that like Gamsol and colored pencils, and even if you're into a lot of ink blending, and I just recently bought some new brushes that Peddlers Den uses. I need to be taught how to use them a little bit before I show you. But if you're into just these scenes and nature and these different scene building things, and there's some sci-fi stuff out there, and some mushrooms and gnomes and fairies that she has. So check out peddlersden.com. Invest in just a little set, and I'll show you what I'm using today. This is just going to be a nice fall card. Very simple. I'm not going to do elaborate watercoloring. I want this to be a very basic watercoloring and a very simple scene. So we're just going to make it really simple to do. I'm getting out my Tim Holtz watercolored pencils for this one, because I just thought I want to use this one and color this one in, wet it down and go, and make this super simple for you. I just want you to see how to build three different layers of your scene for your video today. All right, so before I head down to that camera, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Would love to have you follow along here on YouTube, as well as Manly Made Minute on Instagram. And if you like the videos that I'm doing, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. That greatly helps put my videos out there, lets me know that you're liking the content, and I will continue to put this out for you. But would love to have you follow along. Let's head down, take a look at the products we're going to use, start building this scene, and then I'll have all the products listed in the description below for you as well. All right, let's just get started. All right, so we are going to be using three different stamps today. We're going to use the Western Barn, very simple barn, nothing, very basic, nothing elaborate on it. I'm going to use the pumpkins, so it's like a cluster of pumpkins. And then we're going to use the large clapboard wagon number 1. And so I want a wagon with pumpkins in front of it, with pumpkins in it, sitting in front of the barn. That's all we're doing. All right? We're going to keep it super crazy simple. So here's, if you imagine the wagon, then you imagine pumpkins sitting in front of the wagon, and in the wagon, sitting in front of a barn. Okay? So here's how I'm layering this out. I am going to have my wagon kind of come off my card a little bit, so it positions down this direction of my card base. That way I have room for the barn in the foreground. All right? So I have, I'm using Fabriano hot press watercolor paper, smooth, because I just want a nice coloring kind of surface on this one this evening. And we're going to start with my pumpkins clustered on the ground in the corner. Then we're going to go to the wagon and so forth. So I've already cut out my masking, and I'll have the masking listed below that you get at Peddlers. It's very low tack. This is, I use this and throw it away. It's just such low tack. But I've cut out the pumpkins. I've cut out the top edge, because that's all I'm going to need to mask off to put the wagon behind it. And then when I get it up here, that's all I'm going to need to mask off to put the barn behind it. Okay? Now remember from last time, when you cut these, you cut just slightly inside the line, so that when you push down your next stamp, you get a nice clean edge, and it goes up nice and tight to that stamp. Okay? I just cut out the wagon portion because that's all I need, and you'll see why as we lay this out. All right, I'm going to start with my pumpkins. I've already positioned my pumpkins where I want them on my card. My orientation of my card is going to be this way. I'm using VersaFine Onyx because it is waterproof, and we're going to do some watercoloring. These stamps I have set up on foam already. I've just purchased a whole bunch more foam. It just makes it easy for me to stamp with my MISTI versus putting these on with the Grip It and on a block. But I just know when I push, I am just tapping this down. If I have to do another one, I'll do another one. But I got really nice contact on that. And I'll zoom in so this will focus just a little bit better. My focus has been out of sync here today. There's my pumpkins. Now, I'm going to just give this a little dry so I don't smear as I put my masking over top of this, okay? I just don't want to smear this as I progress. I'm going to cut the bottom portion of this off so it'll fit in my MISTI here, since I don't need it anyway. All right, now I'm going to let's zoom in. I don't know why my camera won't focus for you all. All right, laying this just on the inside of that stamp. I did not cut out and around the masking on the stem sticking out, because as you stamp that down, it'll still show through on my stamp anyway, and you'll see that. Now I'm going to take my wagon. All right, here's my wagon. I'm going to flip this. I want the pumpkins to be sitting right in front of the wagon, right around those wheels. So I'm just kind of getting a gamble of where that's going to fall. I want a little bit of my bring this out just a little bit more, I think. There we go. So I got it coming up about halfway up onto that wagon. I'm just trying to decide, do I want it in the middle of the wagon, just in this cluster of this corner? We're going to go in this cluster of this corner here. Okay. Take my pumpkins out. Pick this up, and now we'll stamp. Remember, these stamps are very fine detailed red rubber stamps. I'm going to zoom out again. So as I do this, I just make sure I keep this nice and flat so I don't get a lot of ink around this outside of the red rubber, so I don't get the markings as I do this. Nice and gentle. I will give it a little extra push right where about that masking is, so I get good contact to the paper right around the edge of that masking. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, I got a good impression on that too. Now you can see I've got pumpkins sitting in front of my wagon. Now I want pumpkins inside my wagon. So now I'm going to take and mask off my wagon. And you can see the wheels here from the bottom portion. And I'm going to lay that right inside, just like we did in the other one. So I have that little bit of the line there. You got to be careful because this does smear off of this, so just be careful as you touch it and touch the paper. It will get on your fingers if it's not completely dry. Okay, let me just wipe this off before I take my wagon off. We're done with the wagon. Now we're going to get those pumpkins back out. Now if you look at the pumpkin stamp, you've got the grass and ground here. I'm going to tuck that under where my wagon is, so I just have the pumpkins peeking out. Okay, so now I'm just going to go about like so. I'm making sure all of it is inside the wagon from here to here and down far enough to cover that grassy stuff. And I haven't removed my pumpkin masking yet, but I will. Okay, and you can kind of see I got a little bit of the impression going already just from the leftover ink there, and that is going to sit really nice. All right, same thing. Little push right around where that masking ends into the paper so you get a good contact around there. Lightly tap on the rest. Nice impression first one, so you don't have to do it again. Here is the fun part. Absolutely fun part. Zoom in for the peel and reveal. We're going to take my pumpkins I'm going to lift this up because I want to keep the masking of my wagon in case I do any part of the barn. And now, let me just dry this a little bit. If this does not speak fall, pumpkin patch, corn maze, I don't know what does. This is just so cool. All right. Dry that a little bit. Now we're just going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to mask off those pumpkins one more time. And as you can see, I worked from front to my middle to my top and now to my back. Now this back, we're going to offset this barn. Okay, so I'm going to flip it so my barn is sitting behind those pumpkins. So this is like in the foreground. It's not big enough that I'd put it too close here, otherwise you would need it bigger because it would be sitting more into that scene. Take those pumpkins off again, pick up your barn. I have the masking on the wagon, the masking on the pumpkins still. I know I hope I'm not making you dizzy, but I want to go in and out so that you guys can see up close here. Okay. And now, same thing. Good push around where that masking is so I get good contact around the edge of that masking paper tape. Lightly tap the rest. And it looks like I got a good clean edge around there. I got a beautiful barn sitting set back into that scene. Here's the fun part. Peel. Because now that wagon, it's the proportion of the pumpkins to the barn seems out of proportion, but now that brings that into the scene more forward for us, right? And now you've got wagon with pumpkins and your barn sitting in the foreground. Let's just throw up some grass, just kind of dotted around there. So let me grab some grass. I did not grab any grass, so let me just grab some out of my container here. And I think we're just going to do kind of this billowing long grass hay kind of something and just start throwing that around, okay? I'm going to put this on a block, and I'm just going to cover my ground with this one. And I need my grip it, don't I? Let's see, I don't have foam on that one, so let's grab my grip it. This is your grip it. I'll have that listed down below for you too if you're going to use blocks with these and not put this on foam. Either one works just fine. All right, there's my grip it. Stick it onto your block. This is a little bit big for my block, but that's okay. And now we're just going to put on some grass. And I'm just going to take this out so I can get into there. Okay. And we're just going to throw some of this around like so. This will make for easy coloring too. I could just mix some yellows and some greens and different things into here. I'm going to just try to get a little bit right into there. Stuck onto my grip it. So now this just looks kind of like a unkept farmyard. Like the winds come through and lay down all that grass. Right? Easy scene. Easy, 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 easy scene. I'm going to show you one other way to get up in those corners there too with these stamps. Let's just cover all the way across the bottom here. You can go over the pumpkins a little bit too, because you know, with normal grass, you would see that through the grass anyway, right? Like so. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my stamp off of my grip mat, and I'm just going to use the one little edge. This is like you're doing it mixed media style. You know how you do like scripts and things when you're doing mixed media? Just throw some of that in there. Easy. Look at that. You'll throw some right behind underneath the wagon there. Now let's just do the other side. I got a little edge of that rubber, which is okay. We're going to cover that up. We're just going to throw some grass into that. That's it. You have a full-on scene. We're just going to throw up, we're going to, I don't know why I keep saying that. We're going to use some cotton ball this evening to do the sky. Let me just get all this black ink off of my fingers. How easy is that? Honestly. Now, proportion-wise, maybe a little out of proportion. Not going to lie. But I don't hate it. Right? And so now, you can change out the barn. You can bring this more forward. I think there's even a smaller set of pumpkins and a smaller wagon, I believe, on the website. I can't remember. Dry this just a little bit before we start, just to make sure that that ink is dry, because these inks do take a little bit extra to dry. I'm going to start with my wagon, so I can start kind of in the middle and work out, so that I'm not working over top of stuff. And I'm just going to keep this very simple. Very simple. I know some of my barns, some of my other stuff has been a little elaborate, but not tonight. Where you double up, you're going to want to just make sure that you dry really good. If you've doubled over like some of this stuff, you got 2 to 3 layers of ink on there, you want to make sure that's good and dry. And I'm going to throw one curveball at you when we're done to finish this scene off, because you're not layering. So I will throw one last curveball, but not until we're done. I'm just going to grab my grass one more time. I want to get up in this little corner just a little bit more even where the barn and stuff is. Up in through here. Like so. I got a little on there, but that's okay. All right. Let's start on that barn. I'm just using my colored pencils, or excuse me, watercolor pencils. We're just going to color in and wet that down the easy way that these were intended to be used. I start with my yellow just to get some aging into that wood. I want a little yellowish brown in there. And now I'm pushing pretty hard with this brown. All right, good and wet. And we're just going to move this around. And here's the fun part with these colored pencils. You're seeing that it's, and I'll move in. I don't know if it's not focusing there. It's moving that brown around. That's okay, because guess what? I'm going to take it, I'm going to wet this down. Pick up more, and then I'm going to go to a darker brown. There we go. And I can use a darker brown for these like lath pieces and side pieces and stuff just to give it some dimension. You can see I'm just layering this on a little bit more to cover up. I don't want it too yellow. I do want that yellow just to peek through though. Easy, right? I feel like watercolored pencils and stuff like this and stuff like this, it's easy. It's easy to color this stuff. Layer in what you want to layer in. I'm going to go a little darker on my brown. If you've not used watercolored pencils before, once this is wet, you're not going to want to scrape these on and color back on until it's really dry again. Otherwise, you're just going to shred your paper. So you're going to want to do all that coloring and stuff before you get it wet. And if you just think of aged stuff, right, of the colors that you're going to get in from things aging. I'm looking to see if I've got a little bit darker brown. Did I grab them all? I think I did. I did. So let's just take a little bit. We'll try the gathered twigs. Don't think that's dark enough. No. It is not dark enough. Aged mahogany. Give it a little redness in there. All I'm trying to do is just layer in some color for some depth. Nothing crazy. My glass mat is missing its little rubber stopper leg on the bottom, so it keeps bouncing on me here. And then once I get it layered in there, I'm going to move this around so I can just see the grain on the wood there too. I think this is my last layer. I might take a little black on these side lath pieces just to make them pop here, but I'm going to let this dry first before I layer that on. There we go. I'll get a little bit of that popping through. Sweet. Okay. That's all I'm going to do. I'll come back and do the little lathy pieces one more time. We better do the undercarriage here. Before I move on. I always do that. Like I'll start moving on and I'll like, oh, I forgot these little corners where it's peeking through the wheel or it's peeking up underneath there. So you got to stand back and look at it when you're done, and then you see these little pieces. There we go. All right, pumpkins. Let's just do my pumpkins. I'm going to go orange all over first, so let's just color these in. And I'm going to leave the bottom portions where it's sitting on the ground just to throw the little darker in there. And where they're up against each other. I'm just going to bring in a little, do I want campfire? Just a little. Little campfire on there, just a little reddish, so we're just putting a little, and then I'll shadow that with little forest moss here at the bottom. Like, I'm just scribbling in. And I just want my brush wet enough to move that orange around. Grab that orange again. There we go. Nice, deep, rich orange on those. And with these, especially doing it this technique, if you want to layer and get some depth and really go at it, you got to do a little drying in between so it doesn't keep moving your watercolor around on these particular. And know your paper. Like, this is reacting just a little different than my Canson XL that I love. It's a hot press. It's a little bit more smooth. Now you can see where I pulled in that forest moss. I'm just going to pull that up. Grab just a little bit more of that actually. And I'm just kind of shadowing where this would shadow up against each other. Know your product too. How does it work? How does it move? Ooh, I'm liking this now. I'm just giving another layer of orange to blend out the edge of those spots where I put the moss green in there. Like so. I'm good with those. So we do the pumpkins up here. Do the same exact thing. And actually let's just color those in. It's a little wet now because I've been putting wet on my pencil, so just know that that's reacting a little different here at the top. Take that forest moss, same thing. Scribble in where that would be shadowing. And then just wet that brush just enough to move that product. And I call it melting, like it just melts that pencil. And before I blend, I'm going around and doing pretty much all the orange first. And then I'll move that green into it. Like so. I don't know about you, but like, I just did it live with Desiree Coomerly on Zentangle, and I, between that and like stuff like this, I literally just get lost. I could just do this all night long and just play and get lost. Alright, we're just going to throw one more layer of orange, blend that edge out just a little bit extra on that green edge. It's kind of like blending with ink. You put your first layer down, then you go to the next layer next to it, then you pick up the previous layer to blend that edge out and get a nice soft edge on it. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Same concept. Okay. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go back through because I see one spot, like I was saying earlier, right underneath here that I forgot. I didn't see. Actually, I didn't really forget. I just didn't see it. The undercarriage here, and just kind of get a little tighter to the line there. Good, 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 good. All right, let's just do the barn. The barn, I'm just gonna pull my mahogany down from the top edge and edges as if it's just weathered. Like so, and I might do one or two colors in here. But I do just want this very weathered looking. If you're ever driving around the countryside, pay attention to, if you're driving by a farmyard or, that's got old barns, look at how it's weathered, look at the edges, look at how things rust. Honestly, like that's just, I never stop looking at that stuff just because I'm like, when I go do a card, I want to be able to replicate how that weathered out, especially like old cars sitting in farmyards and stuff, how they rusted, and I just pay attention to that stuff. Call me weird. I actually think I'm going to leave it just like that. One and done. One color, and I'm just going to be done with that, I think. I'm going to take my brown. And we're going to go around the edge of this. And I'm going to throw probably a little bit of a rust in there. Like so. And I just want my brush just wet enough to soften that out. Melt the watercolor is all I'm doing. Hopefully that makes sense when I say melt. I think once you do it, you'll understand, like, oh, it just kind of smooths out the watercolor, like it melts it onto the paper. I got splatters of orange on here in my sky. Guess we're gonna have to do a little bit of an orange sky. Get up and around those pumpkins so I don't have any gaps in there. Bringing in just a little bit more brown. There we go. I like that little bit of orange in that too. Little weathered. All right, now, guess what? We're just going to do some kind of a goldenroddy mixed with a little bit of an orange and some green. For all this in here. I love the stamps like this where I can just, get that blend of the fall, everything's changing for fall kind of stuff, and not worry about staying in between the in the lines and things. Go a little bit darker in there, where that would be shadowing, right? And make it your own. I mean, you could just do all brown if you wanted to, or go green. It's in the middle of summer, and you just pulled everything from the pumpkin patch. Make it your own. I'm just trying to get that fall vibe going in here. Now, what I do when I do stuff like this so it doesn't turn to mud, I'm going to go through and do all the same color first. So right now I'm just picking out all the places that I did that moss green and doing that first. No particular reason why I picked moss green first, I just did. Not for any blending purposes or anything, I just picked out the green first. And when I'm coloring this, I am kind of coloring with the shape of all this grass and stuff too. All right, now I'm just going to go on and do the orange. I'll just start kind of blending them in together. Melting it in. when I look up at the screen, I'm kind of liking how this is looking when you're not looking at it face on. Looking good. Even though this is a pre-recorded, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the comments a question. I am notified when I get things, comments and questions and things, and I do answer pretty much every comment I answer, especially if it's a question. I'll have all the products listed in the description below for you for the video. So you can head to peddlersden.com and check out the products that I have used for stamps. I tend to mix up my mediums, so I do use the watercolors that she sells. So I think she's got the Alta Nua that I have right now on her website. I don't have everything she has. So I do mix up my mediums a little bit. Now I'm just going through kind of making sure I got no white spots, essentially. I am going to throw a little bit of I think I want some sort of brown in there. Let's see. Maybe I should go a little forest moss. What was that one? That is forest moss. So yeah, let's just go back to my ground espresso on here. I'm just gonna throw a little bit of brown mixed in here. Especially up against shadows and different things. Kind of hitting the tops of the piles. I am going to just go back through and soften this out a little bit once I get it applied. I sure hope this is inspiring you. Oh, I'm digging that. I need just a little bit right in here, I think. All right, just wet enough to move my product. Anyway, I do hope this has inspired you just a little bit to give some of this a try. I know if it's new product, don't be scared of it. I'm going to just soften this down just a little bit and pull that back. When these dry, they will dry just a little chalky on you. And I'll show you what I'm going to do to solve that just a little bit. When we're done, I'm just going to give this probably a little spritz of some gold chroma mist or something. Just pulling this back just a tiny bit. The more you layer it, it'll get chalky, so I'm just pulling some of that off. I'm going to grab my black soot now. I'm going to go back onto my wagon. Not real wet, just enough to pick up the color. And I'm just going to throw in a little definition of the wood grain and things in here. And these, I don't know, what are they called? Lath pieces, support pieces, cross pieces. Just throwing some of that back in there. I'm not trying to get too precise. I'm okay if this just looks a little loosey-goosey and artistic-ish. We're going to go back in on this and just give these darker places where it's already built in that stamp for you. I'm just going to fill that in a little bit with some black soot. Just to add that shadow into that. Dirty it up. Let's just dirty that up just a little. There we go. Not too shabby. Besides my fingerprints all over the place, I am digging that. Actually, very like artistic-y kind of coloring. You know, I wasn't going for anything too crazy. Let's see if we can blend some of this out. I'm gonna blend out. I can cover up some of this. I know what, you know. I'll show you what we're gonna do here in a second. But all right, let's just throw an autumn sky in here. Okay, and then we'll give you my little surprise here at the end that will make this the cat's meow with one final touch on here. And I didn't grab it, but I will. Okay, now I'm just getting good and wet because I need to move this color pretty good. And we're doing the orange first. And then just blending those out. Melt it down, blend it out. Look at that. Hiding all those little orange dots I had in there. How impressive, right? Gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not too worried about those fingerprints because I already know what I'm going to do there anyway. Once we dry this, I'm going to just give a little bit of where that orange meets the yellow. We're going to give it just a little pink. And let me see if this is the one I want. I think that'll work. I'm going to give it just a little pink in there. Not bad. And I know probably some of you are like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't do this. Like, just play. Right? I'm going to leave it like that. I think I'm going to give just a little something right there. I need a little darkness out there around that perimeter. And we're going to pull in, we're just going to pull in a little bit. Just a tiny, no, I'm not. I'm going to go a little orange. I'm just going to deepen that orange. I was going to go a little purple, but I just know I might mucky that up. So we're just going to go around this edge and deepen up my purple here a little bit around the building. There we go. Just right around the perimeter here, that horizon, right? Pull it down. Oh yeah, that just did it. That did it for me. I want just a little bit more pink in that. There we go. I like a lot. I'm going to show you one thing you could do to brighten this up before I dry it. You could take and add a little of a shimmer mist or even gloss it over. I'm going to give this just a little bit of a shimmer mist, light coat. Dry it, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do around these edges to finish off this scene. Now, technically, we could go a fourth element in here and add, we could add an animal in here. We could add, trees, which is what we're going to do up at the top here, by the way. But I could put a full-on trees. We could put some hay bales. We could put some tree trunks that are just laying there. All right. Do you see how that brightened that up? All right, we're going to dry this. We're going to finish this off with some trees around the edges. And I'm going to put it on a card for you. To me, this is a scene you could easily make and just practice. And I will tell you, if you really truly want to practice, make the same scene over and 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 over again. Make it like 10 times. A, you're just going to end up with a set of 10 cards. B, it's going to give you the practice for coloring. C, it's just then going to get you practicing stamping, get you practice layering, masking. I would just do the same scene over and over several times, or do a couple scenes, and then don't stray from those, especially if you're going to go get some stamps for the first time from Peddler's Den. Get a couple that you could make maybe 2 or 3 scenes with, and that's it. Don't get any more. Make sure that's dry. Okay. Let me wipe my surface here and move things aside because I just make a mess all the time. That's just how I roll. All right. Wipe this down so I don't get everything muckied up. All right, one last thing we're going to do. We're going to just throw some trees up in the corner. So I'm going to grab, let's see, which one do I want to use? Oh, that one would look good actually. I'm using this tree stamp that I don't have the label for. I will find it though and I'll link it below. And I'm going to throw this up on my grippy mat on my block. And I just want this piece is all I'm going to use. And I'm going to stamp it here. Then I'm going to turn this piece and I'm going to stamp it over here. And we're just going to have this perimeter of leaves as if they're in the forefront as you're coming up to the wagon in the barn. So it's like a tree hanging down here. Just gonna get this so it's all like. And now guess what? This is covering up my fingerprints, right? Just letting that sit so I get contact enough through that spray I just put down too. See? Does that not finish that off and do the trick? Okay, now let's just figure out how I gotta lay this one opposite here. So I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna come down this way on this one, like so. It's gonna come over that wagon a little. Like that. And I'll do one little piece at the very top. We're gonna do one piece right here. That's what I like about some of these is that you layer it over and it just doesn't matter. It's not gonna mucky this up for you. I'm gonna leave that just like that because it's like the barn's kind of peeking through. Yeah. You know what else you could do? And I'll just do it. Now I'm adding 4, 5, 6 elements on you. But I'm hoping it's giving you can see the concept here now, right? I'm going to take this, these are range grasses, so it's a trio. And we're going to just take my tree off here so I can use my grip it. Okay. And we can do it in the front too. So we can just frame this scene off. And we're going to stop right there. I've got it kind of framed out. I probably didn't need to do all of that at the bottom. But I figured I'd show you because then that way, that's kind of just the next step anyway. But I will list these in the description for you of what you can do to scene build with this. I'll just give this a little bit of a dry. And we're going to put this on a card. Let's see how wet that is. Yeah, just be careful with some of these inks, like your VersaFines and your archivals and things. They need time to dry. Your pigment inks, they need time to dry. And as I'm drawing, I see one spot I need to fix right there on my pumpkin, where I just pushed the tip of the stamp a little too hard. So we're just going to blend that with some grass. Just like so. Okay. Add another cluster. Why not? I'm going to trim this piece down. So I did a full panel. I did, I did do, we're going to go a little smaller than that. We're going to go 5 1/8. By 3 7/8, and I'm going to take it off of the top. 3 7/8. Then I want this one at let's just do 4. By 5 1/4. Should give me just a little bit of a border. Yes, we're just going to go a little bit more off on this side. Good there, I think. Okay, we're going to go full on this one, so I'm going to go 5 1/2. By 4 1/4. Full panel card. And we'll just, no dimensionals, I know, surprise, surprise, surprise. I'm not going to throw sentiment up on this just for sake of time. And this actually would make a great, just a regular note card anyway. So I'm just layering this up on some designer series paper that I have on hand to match, and then some I don't know, it's a forest green kind of color. Tried to avoid plaid. I always go plaids with this stuff, and I'm like, nope, we're not doing plaid tonight. Not doing it. All right, flatten that down. I got to peek at that before I put that down, and that is looking perfect to me. I like it. All right, let me just pull this under my rock. Oops, it slid on me. Ooh, come on. Push too hard. It just slid, and I can still barely move it. There we go. There we go. Whew, saved it. It's off just a kilter a little bit on that side, but saved it. All right, check this card out. This is your 3-element card. We started with our pumpkins. I went to the wagon. I filled the wagon with pumpkins, and then I went here. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 elements. Pumpkins are 1, wagon, and then 2. We actually added 3 and 4 to this card and just framed that out. Little sentiment right over here. You could throw a little sentiment across right through here or here would be perfect. Or you could just leave this as a great little note card, right? All right, let me show you from the face cam, because that one will adjust really nice for us. Ooh, there we go. Awesome card. Great fall card, great fall note card, great masculine birthday card. And just remember, we can add another element to this. We can add a little animal on this side. We could take this to another level, which we'll do on our next video. I've taken you to basically 4 or 5 elements now. So, but this was your 3-element card. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me. Head on over to peddlersden.com. Check out some of their scene building. I'll have everything in the description for you, so you can check that out. Throw those in your shopping cart. I am not don't have an affiliate, so no commission to me, no extra cost to you. I'm just happy to be on her team and showcase what I can do with her product. All right, till next time, you guys. I'll see you then.